This is the Troll Patrol, live with Justin Freakin.
Oh, hey, what's going on? Welcome to the Troll Patrol Live. It's a freaking Wednesday. Good evening, welcome. I'm not high enough for this shit, I don't think. We got a lot of stuff to talk about. There's a lot of fucking shit going on. There's a standoff happening at a church in Texas. I was trying to get us a live picture of that, but that led me to a story that actually happened yesterday, where a woman was involved in a standoff in Texas, where she apparently told 911 responders that she would shoot anybody that came in her house. It's a very Texas-ish story. LA had a bus hijack. One person is dead. Suspect is custody in California after a bomb went off in a courthouse. The sheriff that shot a judge in Kentucky was arraigned today. Maybe we'll get some new information. There is a chemical leak in Ohio. Florida is preparing to be bombarded by a hurricane. A Texas official stole a croissant from a crash. And Jake Paul's fat, apparently. Speaking of fat, there's this country singer named Hardy, and he's apparently got some big feelings about people who criticize the United States, which is, every right-winger. They all tell me about how much of a hellhole this country is. Clay Higgins had an insanely racist tweet today. He finally took it down. Bernie Moreno, the Republican running for Senate in Ohio against Sherrod Brown, had an incredibly misogynistic rant about women. The DOJ said feds actually stormed the Capitol on January 6th. We're going to hear Jim Jordan, who was involved in January 6th, go off on the FBI about it. The driver who tried to attack the Biden-Harris campaign bus back in 2020 has been found liable. AOC calling on New York Mayor Eric Adams to resign. We're going to talk about the threat of nuclear war, which has apparently gone up in the last few hours. China fired an ICBM into the ocean for some reason. Donald Trump was briefed on the plot by Iran to assassinate him. A Secret Service agent has been placed on leave after allegations that they groped a Harris staffer. Trump apparently had a better month in terms of polling than Kamala Harris last month. Trump is demanding that NBC bring back Johnny Carson. All that and a lot freaking more tonight on the Troll Patrol live. Good evening. Welcome. M-Lord, Warlord, Freedom, Holiday, Quesadilla. I'm not high enough for this shit. Clinically, Carson has been dead since 2005. Johnny Carson's been dead since 2005. I want to say it was actually 2006, because one of the things that came out after his death was that he actually would contribute to David Letterman's like he was still writing jokes, and he would send them to Dave, and Dave would use them on his monologue or in the top 10. So that's fucking cool. Here's your meme of the day. I went with something not very topical. Is critical of cancel culture, which may come as a surprise to everyone who purchased tickets for the hundreds of concerts he has canceled over the years. I wish you lonely, Mr. Morrissey. Hicks, good evening. I've got like 2 or 3 bowls left. I'm saving them for after the show. I had to pack up. What was a bad joke? Morrissey's a bad joke, Warlord. The UK, anything the UK puts out is a bad joke. I'm sorry, I apologize. I love you. Did I go over what we're going to be talking about tonight? Oh yeah, I did, didn't I? Must be expensive for me. I'll need to re-up at the end of the week, probably Friday. Means I've got to make these few bowls I've got last. Is there anything left in this one? No. What's peak humor? Nothing out of the UK is peak humor. Oh, here's one for you. We're gonna talk about shitty country artist Hardy here in a little bit. But dropping a brand new track out of nowhere that we're going to listen to tonight. One of the all-time greats, Mozart. Mozart dropping a banger after all these years. We're going to listen to it tonight. I was trying to get us a dumb fuck to call in. But he decided he wanted to actually go to my page and like fucking try to troll me and do a bad job of it. Torchy, good evening. Let's start off tonight with something light, shall we? A lighter subject. Since last night we started off with state-sponsored death. Let's start off tonight with the risk of nuclear war.
United Nations warned that Russia is preparing to attack Ukraine's nuclear plants. At the same time, Iranian officials have repeatedly stated they are interested in resuming nuclear diplomacy. Nick Schifrin is back to speak with an official who is central to both challenges. Nick?
Yeah, Jeff, central to both challenges because the International Atomic Energy Agency, or IAEA, is responsible for monitoring and ensuring the safe use of nuclear power around the world and for inspecting countries' nuclear programs. Rafael Grossi is the Director General of the IAEA, and he joins me now. Director General, thank you very much. Welcome back to the NewsHour. As we just said, today at the UN General Assembly, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky accused Russia of, quote, planning attacks on our nuclear power plants and their infrastructure. Do you have any corroboration for that accusation?
Thank you very much. As always, a pleasure to talk to you. No, we don't have that information. Of course, we are aware of the statement by the President. We don't have that. Let me simply say on this thing that we have said very clearly at the UN Security Council and elsewhere that nuclear power plants should never be attacked, wherever they are. And let me also say that, as you may remember, the IAEA has personnel deployed not only at the Zaporizhia nuclear power plant, but also at...
I mean, I'm not going to criticize somebody for mangling a name. You guys, you're here every night.
Every other nuclear power plant in Ukraine. Rivne, Nitsky, South Ukraine, and Chernobyl. So we are present in all these sites.
So is the context for this is Russia's occupation at the Zaporizhia nuclear power plant, which you visited just a few weeks ago, and as well as your presence, as you just said, at other nuclear power plants. And Ukraine and you have pointed out that for these nuclear power plants to stay safe, they need to have electricity. Russia has deliberately targeted Ukraine's electricity infrastructure. Is there a higher concern today that the electricity that these plants need to maintain their safety could be cut off?
This is a permanent concern of ours. In reality, there have been already 8 complete blackouts at the Zaporizhia nuclear power plant. And of course, we are aware of the events and incidents on other parts of the electric grid and the infrastructure. So we are also monitoring that. We have established as an additional measure a system to assess and analyze the critical substations to the nuclear power plants from, of course, a perspective of nuclear safety in all of them.
Let me switch to Iran. This week at the UN, you met Iran's new foreign minister, who is well known.
Iran? Are we going to demonize Iran, who seems to be incredibly restrained? The thing that I've learned in the last 5 years about Iran is, my God, they show incredible restraint.
To you, a former nuclear negotiator for Iran, and you said you see a, quote, expressed willingness to re-engage with us in a more meaningful fashion. Why do you say that, and what does that actually translate to?
Because I was told so. So I heard.
Okay, fair enough. Cool. The UN doing God's work out here. Iran wants back into the fold. Iran wants to be a normal country, I believe, and they have elected someone because they have a very young population. There has been fear of an uprising over their theocratic system of government for a while. They've elected what they call a moderate. So I 100% believe that Iran wants relations normalized.
The foreign minister who said that. I also got a letter from President Pezeshkian during the summer indicating that his willingness to meet with me. And we are precisely one of the things we were doing with Foreign Minister Arakchi, whom I know very, very well and has a lot of experience in nuclear matters and negotiations. We are preparing the ground for that meeting, which should be in their own interpretation, should mark a clear progress, a turning point, as they say. So I have to see. There are lots of things that we need to discuss, and we are preparing for that.
So among the things that, of course, you need to discuss is a problem that you've had for years, which is that Iran has failed to explain uranium traces found at undeclared sites. Do you believe that they are interested in finally providing those explanations?
Well, you know, I have to continue. I should never give up. I'm hearing a high official of a member state of the IEA. Of course, there is a history, and we always have that in mind. But you know, we trust, but we verify. So we hope that this will be the case, and that we will be able at long last, like you say, this has been going on for a long time.
That's a Reagan quote, if anybody didn't know.
Move to a better place.
What about restrictions on some of your inspectors that Iran has placed? Do you believe that they might lift those?
They won't do that. They indicated, unfortunately, that the inspectors, they have taken out of our roster of inspectors visiting different
roster
in Iran, which had been taken out of that list.
But he said roaster.
Be restored to it. So I am frankly frustrated about this. But as I said to one of your colleagues, that ship has sailed. We continue. We will be, trying to do the best we can, and we will certainly do.
I like this guy.
The context for this, of course, is what you've called the turbocharging of Iran's nuclear program, enriching uranium up to 60% purity. Last month, the IAEA said Iran added nearly 50 pounds of highly enriched uranium, exceeding what it would need to create at least 3 nuclear weapons. Do you believe you understand that you can understand the baseline of Iran's nuclear program? And do you believe that means you could have negotiations?
That is exactly what we want to do. We want to re-establish a credible baseline with regards to the material, with regards to the production capacities in terms of centrifuges and other things which are truly indispensable to prepare. I'm not talking about a final or a wide-ranging negotiation. I'm talking about preparing the ground for that. If you don't have the IEA does not have the ability to say what is there, what is present there, then the basic foundations for a sound negotiation are simply missing. And I believe my Iranian counterparts understand this. So let's hope that this re-engagement, re-establishment of contact, my upcoming visit to Tehran will be a positive one.
Rafael Grossi, Director General of the IEA, thank you very much.
PBS didn't even bring up the newest comments by Putin today. Putin proposes new rules for using nuclear weapons. Vladimir Putin says Russia would consider an attack from a non-nuclear state that was backed by a nuclear-armed one to be a joint attack and what could be construed as a threat to use nuclear weapons in the war in Ukraine, i.e. the U.S. backing Ukraine. In key remarks on Wednesday night, the Russian president said his government was considering changing the rules and preconditions around which Russia would use its nuclear arsenal. Ukraine is a non-nuclear state that receives military support from the U.S. and other nuclear-armed countries. His comments come as Kyiv seeks approval to use long-range Western missiles against military sites in Russia. Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky has traveled to the U.S. this week and is due to meet U.S. President Joe Biden in Washington on Thursday, where Kyiv's request is expected to be top of the agenda. Ukraine has pushed into Russian territory this year and wants to target bases inside Russia, which it says are sending missiles into Ukraine. Simp, good evening. I don't know how much fucking Putin is he's a crazy man. I was adamant that Russia wasn't going to invade Ukraine when the U.S. was saber rattling about it. Apparently, I just read this week that apparently Ukraine also thought it was impossible that Russia would invade up until they invaded. I would assume the Fed is going to go through with the rate cut. I don't know how the use of, I assume they would use what's called tactical nukes if Russia was to deploy them. Speaking of stabbing, apparently I have not watched the Vince McMahon documentary yet. Fox, good evening. Raven, good evening. But apparently, at some point in time during the documentary, it was revealed that Shane McMahon and Vince McMahon had a all-out dispute over some proposal that Shane wanted to do, and Vince was like, "Not as long as I'm alive, pal." And he was apparently eating something, took the knife that he had, handed it to Shane, and was like, "Right here, right in my heart. And if you don't have the balls to do it, then I gotta take that into consideration too." I was like, wow. And here's the thing. The person who told that story was Paul Heyman. And he is known for embellishing things. However, I could absolutely see Vince McMahon do that. Vince McMahon is a crazy motherfucker that probably told his son to stab him in the heart during a fucking meeting. As we're on the topic of weapons, for some reason, I don't know what the reason would be for this. It seems like a waste of good military hardware, but China fired a intercontinental ballistic missile into the Pacific Ocean.
China says it has fired an intercontinental ballistic missile into the...
Light one up, tip one back.
Now, this is Beijing's first such test in over 40 years. Under Xi Jinping's presidency, China has bolstered its nuclear capabilities and revamped the People's Liberation Army's rocket force. The Pentagon estimated last year that China will roughly double its nuclear arsenal to about 1,000 warheads by 2030.
Jesus fucking Christ. We really are. We're gonna repeat the last century. I totally condemn China. And your ICBM into the ocean. What'd the ocean ever do to you? They're bombing Dolphin and whale. Who hasn't done? Have you seen the ocean? Have you seen the things that are in the ocean? Maybe we need to start bombing the ocean. Oh, they might have been bombing the typhoons. Both oceans have been awfully active. We're going to talk about Hurricane Helene. I think it's Helene. I keep saying it wrong. I kept saying Helena last night. I think it's Helene. Hurricane Helene. So apparently, we were talking about Iran earlier. Fuck the ocean. We don't know what's down there. Mitochondria, good evening. The oceans are going to rise up and take the ship back. We're going to unleash the Kraken. I'm not sure that it has hit hurricane category. It's expected to intensify rapidly, and I think it intensifies rapidly over the next few hours. We'll get the update here. I'm not updated on it yet. I'm not a pre-watch Andy. Yeah, it was Flash last night. Said he wanted to do some orca shit. And I was like, are you saying you want a fucking orca? And he was trying to say... I think this was after the show. I think this was when we were watching the police chase. Which if you guys missed the police chase, I'm sorry I didn't do it on the Troll Patrol. Because holy fuck, that was wild. I clipped it for YouTube. There is a 1 minute clip. But the chase was like an hour and a half long. The dude was... I'm pretty sure he took his dick out and rubbed one out. And then they block him in. This was a low-speed chase. This was going like 2 miles an hour for an hour. Just inching along. So they block him in, and I'm like, he's not going anywhere. And we thought it was over. The dumbasses pulled one of their SUVs back. The dude fucking... And he's got a blown tire, too. He's driving on the rim the whole fucking time, going 2 miles an hour. Pulls out. It's insane. It's one of the most insane chases we've ever watched. He was inching along while he's inching one out. I've rubbed one out in traffic, but not while being chased by the cops. That's a new one. Soup, good evening. Somebody shout Soup out. Lenny, good evening. Somebody shout Lenny out, too. Lenny, I have looked for you. I can never catch you on. When the fuck do you stream? I want to know. Apparently when I'm sleeping. Oh, it's got to cool down on shout-outs? That makes sense, I guess. Monday and Tuesday at noon. Now that that's probably about, like, before I would ever hop on. I'd probably get on, like, 1 or 2. I'm going to catch you this time, my friend. Or next time, next week. Wednesday? Trump has been briefed on the fact that Iran apparently wants to assassinate him, which... Cool.
In a span of 2 months, former President Trump has experienced 2 assassination attempts, one in Pennsylvania, the other in Florida. Now he's learning the threats on his life are also coming from overseas. A Trump campaign spokesperson says the former president was briefed Tuesday by the Office of the Director of National Intelligence regarding real and specific threats from Iran to assassinate him in an effort to destabilize and sow chaos in the United States. Intelligence officials have identified that these continued and coordinated attacks have heightened in the past few months, and law enforcement officials across all agencies are working to ensure President Trump is protected and the election is free from interference. Secretary of State.
Also, I don't know that I've talked about it very much. They keep getting hacked. They have apparently been hacked again multiple times as soon as like I think it was September 18th. Because I know we've covered this like a couple of weeks ago that they got hacked, and that like the New York Times, the Washington Post, they have been sitting on this information that was given to them by somebody who hacked the Trump campaign and not published it. And this is not a bigger story. Oh, Mox thinks it's a leaker. It could be. It could be. I just don't like Trump surrounds himself with sycophants though. So the idea that there's somebody like trying to, you know, work against Trump inside the campaign is weird. But yeah, like news outlets are sitting on this information that they were quick to publish when it was Hillary Clinton and are not publishing it. Let's hope that it comes out. October's surprise? I don't know what the fuck is going on.
State Antony Blinken says it's something they've been tracking intensely for a long time.
An ongoing threat by Iran against a number of senior officials, including former government officials like President Trump and some people who are currently serving the administration.
Trump said this at a campaign event Wednesday afternoon.
We've been threatened very directly by Iran, and I think you have to let them know, because the best way to do it is through the office of the president, that you do any attacks on former presidents or candidates for president, your country gets blown to smithereens.
Iran denies the allegations.
We have no interest in U.S. elections. We do not assassinate people. But the fact of the matter is they assassinated a revered Iranian general.
Yes.
General Soleimani.
General Soleimani.
In the final days of his presidency, Trump ordered the strike that killed Qasem Soleimani.
And we take comfort in knowing that his reign of terror is over.
Fully aware of the heightened threat environment in these last 6 weeks before Election Day, Congress is set to provide the Secret Service an additional...
Wait, what am I condemning? I'm condemning the death of Soleimani. If Iran wants to do something to Trump, I kind of don't care. And he kind of has it coming.
$231 million. On Capitol Hill, I'm Atrel Nashar.
The Radiant guy condemned. Yes. I'm sorry, I wasn't paying attention. I'm a little out of it tonight. I'm not on top of my game, I don't believe. What the fuck was I gonna say? I had something else I was gonna mention. I'm not high enough for this shit. I think I'm having a manic episode. I was tested for bipolar years ago, and they said I wasn't. I was just eccentric and crazy. But I think the older I get, because they read that was the first I'd ever been exposed to. This would have been about 2013, 2014. This is the first I was ever exposed to like the symptoms and everything. I was like, oh shit. One, everybody goes through like depressive and manic, like they're like extremes of like emotions everybody feels normally. I'm totally okay. I just I forgot to eat today. I didn't eat until right before the stream started, and that's odd for me. Didn't feel hungry until right before the stream. So I took some bong rips about 4:30, 5 o'clock. And I was like, oh, now I'm finally starting to feel hungry. Because the entire time I was like, I should eat something. But I think I'm on like some kind of manic kick or some shit. I'm probably not having enough pot to take bong rips all day long is probably contributing to it as well. But we'll get some on Friday. We're almost there. Oh God, I got less than what I thought I did. Ducky, I wondered if that was it. It was about this time last year that like the malaise hit me. But usually I really like the fall. Does stress cause these things? Because, Stress indeed. Donald Trump had a better month than Kamala Harris, according to Nate Silver. Former President Donald Trump has had a more favorable month compared. We're talking about the month of September? Or was this the month of August? That's impossible. Latest edition of the Silver Bulletin shows Trump gaining a 1.4% better margin nationally over Harris in the past month. A couple of mediocre national polls for Harris. Silver, the creator of 538, said in a post on Twitter, but little change for her overall, as with a lot of polling now, and model tends to care way more about the state data. When looking at 19 contested states, Trump has had a net positive margin over Harris. Harris has gained a 1.1% margin over Trump in Florida. Trump's margins have increased in the other contested states between 0.2% in Georgia to 2.9% in Minnesota. That said, Harris still has the overall favorability currently in the contested states of Pennsylvania, Michigan, Wisconsin, Nevada, Minnesota, New Mexico, New Hampshire, Virginia, Washington, and Maryland. And most of those states aren't even contested. Apparently we have a new poll from Quinnipiac that Warlord shared in the Discord that says the Republicans are actually favored to win the popular vote this year. To which I say, There is no way that the Republicans win the popular vote. It's possible that Donald Trump wins the presidency. I will hold out that probability. But if he wins the presidency, it will be while losing the popular vote by my estimation will probably be like between 4 and 5 million. I think that will be the margin. I don't think it will be as large as it was in 2020. But I think it will be much larger than Hillary Clinton's was. So I think around like 4.55 million is about where Harris is going to come in. And the question is it going to be in enough of the swing counties in the swing states to make a difference? There is absolutely no chance in hell. Mark it down. I will shave my head and my eyebrows and my entire face if the Republicans win the popular vote. That is how confident I am. Here we go again. You can clip it, motherfuckers. I will do it. My head, my eyebrows, and my Fu Manchu. It all goes this time. And that is how confident. I haven't shaved this Fu Manchu off since like 2013, and I did it for a movie. I shaved my Fu Manchu off multiple times in college for movie roles. DJ Dub, good evening. I have now told everyone I will go completely bald, eyebrows, no Fu Manchu beard. Okay, I'll do a pencil mustache. There we go. Even the Fu Manchu. There is no fucking way that Donald Trump wins the popular vote. So I am confident that I will continue to grow my hair out. I will have my long, luscious locks back. Now, once again, Donald Trump may win the presidency. I'm not shaving my head for that. But the fact that we are... Oh, do you think I was just shaving my pretty much my entire body is what it sounds like. Since I'm doing it, I will shave my entire body. My arms, my legs, my chest hair. I will be 100% smooth. Curiouser, good evening. She's gonna hate me for this, but everybody needs to wish Curiouser a happy birthday. She is 25 today. Doesn't look a day over 21. I think I need 50 subs too. You guys will fucking do it. Twink death. I don't think she's suffering twink death. Maybe, I don't know. You turned into a twink, Curiouser. Cicero, good evening. You know, Freedom, I didn't mind it when I was bald. And going back and watching the videos, I was like, I didn't look bad bald. I really like my hair. I'm a big fan of having hair. I'm already like, I'm enjoying fucking brushing it again and shit already. So I can't wait until I actually have it back. Speaking of coming back, Donald Trump wants NBC is demanding that NBC bring back Johnny Carson.
You remember that guy? When I first ran, it was like 2015, thinking about running. I was going to run. I went on his show, right? And he goes, The Tonight Show, which is dying. They're all dying. Where's Johnny Carson? Bring back Johnny. It made you appreciate, right, Uncle Sam? It made you appreciate the greatness of Johnny Carson and these guys. These three guys, they're so bad, all three of them. All three of them.
Bring back Johnny Carson, NBC.
Remember that guy? When I first ran, it was
Remember?
15, thinking about running. I was going to run. I went on his show, right? And he goes,
Who's he talking? Oh, he's talking about Jimmy Fallon. Is that where Jimmy Fallon messed up his hair? Johnny Carson was awesome. I love Johnny Carson. I'm a huge fan. I actually watch a lot of clips of Johnny Carson, and I have like the ultimate Johnny Carson collection, which is like all his bits and monologues and shit. Johnny wasn't involved in that, was he? Oh yeah, Raven. No. The guy before Leno. Leno sucks. Everybody loves Johnny though. Was Johnny the one? Was he involved in? Because he owned that time slot. A lot of people were regular guest hosts for Carson. Jerry Seinfeld. Oh, he's talking about Kimmel. Okay. I don't remember him going on Kimmel or it being a big deal. And I worked for an ABC affiliate at that time. That's wild. I've watched the movie. There's a movie about it called The Late Shift, and Kathy Bates is Jay Leno's manager in the movie. And it's about Dave and Jay and the fight over the Tonight Show. Basically, people like me, Raven, who are like nerds. Anybody older than me would have experienced Carson. Like if you're 45 or older, you remember Carson being on TV. I don't remember Carson being on TV because that was like he retired when I was like 7. It's earlier than that, Mox. It was like 91, 92. It's the early 90s. And then I know about him because I'm a fucking comedy nerd and I'm a broadcasting nerd and shit. And like when I took my class on the history of broadcasting, I didn't study. I knew all the. I was the really annoying kid that sat in the front of the class in all my philosophy and broadcasting classes, and like knew all the answers and shit. Somebody other than Justin answer. Sat in the back of the class for calculus, though. Lenny, man. Oh, but like you say that, but like black and white TVs, were still pretty ubiquitous in American society up through the 80s. Because like my grandmother still had a couple black and white TVs when I was a wee little kid. We had a fucking TV that only had like 13 channels on a dial. And we put it on the bar in the kitchen. I love Conan. I love Craig Ferguson. Craig Ferguson's like, he's the best of like the recent talk shows. Question marks. Man, CRTVs are like big business now, aren't they? Because people, like retro gaming's big business. So if you have like a mint condition CRTV that still works. Like, what? Was I the remote? Is that what you mean? It made me go up and change the channel? I think my mom and dad, they were kind of... My mom liked to... it's all good. I typo all the time, especially if you're on your phone, auto fucking correct. Goddamn. Auto correct makes me sound fucking stupid all the time. That's why I hate leaving comments on my phone. No, my mom really liked to pretend she was rich. She was one of those putting on airs kind of people. So we had a really nice TV, and they had a remote. They had a remote the entire time I can remember, because they had like a real nice like fucking what do you call those? Like floor models that sat on the floor. I do not remember TV not broadcasting after 1 a.m. Joey, good evening. A console. Yes, moving those goddamn TVs was a bitch. But man, that was class status. That was class status back in those days. I don't remember the stations shutting off at night. I feel like that had been discontinued by the time. Yeah, it had speakers built into the side. I don't remember that at all. I feel like, which I don't know how often I stayed up that awful late, you know? And then we got cable. We got cable probably when I was in 3rd grade. I'm a cable baby, yeah. Well, here's the thing, Ducky, is I was a fucking nerd. I liked Nick at Night. I goddamn loved Get Smart and Dick Van Dyke Show, and like those were two of my favorites when I was I didn't care as much for Mr. Ed or Green Acres, but like Get Smart and Dick Van Dyke I fucking loved. I loved Dragnet. I didn't like the Mary Tyler Moore show as much. I love Lucy. That's my mom's favorite show. So even before Nick at Night, like she had like the entire VHS collection of I Love Lucy. So I Love Lucy was always like available to me whenever I wanted it. And she loved it. She loved Andy Griffith as well. So like we had all of the Andy Griffith I Love Lucy show run. Anytime I wanted to, I could pop in the VHS of those. I think she even had like she had taped them off of the TV. I don't remember watching F Troop. That was never on that I remember. I love that we just got started on like old TV. What if I just said fuck it and start playing old TV? You guys want me to do that? I could do that. I don't remember watching. I never watched Laugh In. I've seen clips, but I've never seen like a whole episode. The sketch comedy show I always used to watch when I was a kid was Carol Burnett. We've got a lot of news to do. There's a lot of crazy news to go. I have half of mine just to stop the stream. I've got all kinds of classic TV we could watch. I never got to see the Smothers Brothers. From what I understand, they were like the most subversive for the time, for what you could be subversive. Oh, did you tell me to get back to the news? Clinically. Fair enough. Clinically's like, no TV shows. Back to the news for you. But we wanted to talk about Johnny Carson. I could totally play some Johnny Carson for you. But yeah, I'm sad I never got to watch the Smothers Brothers because it seemed like that would be the show that I would have took to the best. Go watch you some corny horror movies. Prometheus, good evening. You guys want to know the news though, because I got some crazy stories. We got some crazy stories to do. Here is Trump, I think earlier today, talking about Kamala Harris and the claim that she worked at McDonald's.
Even something like she worked very long and hard hours over French fries at McDonald's. She'd never worked at McDonald's. It was a fake story.
I don't remember her saying she worked long and hard hours over the French fries. This sounds like an exaggeration. I think she just said she worked at McDonald's as a teenager. So I had a job at McDonald's as a teenager. They are so focused on this.
Even something like she worked very long and hard hours over French fries at McDonald's. She'd never worked at McDonald's. It was a fake story. It was a fake story. The press now refuses to write it because it's so, there's a very simple one. She said she worked at McDonald's and she didn't. Not highly sophisticated, not complicated. It was a lie. She never.
Oh, I didn't even put that together. Oh my God, Joey, you're right. McDonald's is sacred for Trump. That's why he's insulted by the fact that Harris could have worked there. Oh, wow. Good call.
Never worked at McDonald's over the hot French fries. I think I'm going to a McDonald's in 2 weeks, actually, and I'm going to work the French fries because I will have worked longer and harder at McDonald's than she did if I do that. Even she worked very long and hard hours over French fries.
Well, supposedly that's the reason why he goes to McDonald's, right? Because if he just sends somebody to McDonald's, they don't know it's him. So the odds that they're going to tamper with his food, he's worried about being poisoned. But yeah, spit in it too. But that was one of the... Mayor McCheese has some fast tendencies. We should see if we can get the right wing to start wanting to deport Grimace. He doesn't. He's got dark skin. He doesn't belong here. He's not like us. Oh my God. Oh, apparently Melania Trump is going to be on Fox and Friends tomorrow. What the fuck is wrong with me? That's a good question. I was lamenting about how I don't think I'm doing well. The grimace is a boon to our culture and economy. Fair enough, fair enough. We got any racing fans in the crowd? Anybody a racing fan? You guys remember Danica Patrick? She was an open wheel racer, made her way to NASCAR. Didn't have much success in either of them, but she's got a pretty face, so she made a good spokesman for GoDaddy. And because she could bring a sponsorship with her, she was able to fill the car. Well, she's got some political opinions. Guess who she's been working for?
I love America. Let's make America great again.
Holy shit, what is that dress she's wearing? That is the ugliest thing I've ever seen.
People didn't like that. People looked at me like I was like some radical right-wing MAGA, right? Like,
yes, you are. You're campaigning for Trump.
people didn't like that. People looked at me like I was like some radical right-wing MAGA, right? Like MAGA's got this awful connotation to so many people. And you know what? All it did was light a fire. I was like, I will not be judged to live in America, be an American, be a proud American, say I love America, and want to make America great again. I won't be judged for it. In fact, instead of quieting down, I'm going to get louder. So from that point on, I used my platform in every way I could to highlight people, to...
I mean, you fuckers never shut up.
...voice, a microphone.
I'm not wide enough for this.
Truth. You know, I just want to say, you know, I was raised in a middle-class family.
They have been saying that nonstop. I didn't even hear the clip where I do a political talk show. Didn't even hear Harris say it. But apparently, that's all they've been sharing out amongst themselves and making memes about. I'm from a middle-class family. Well, she was. Get over it. You guys support Donald Trump and J.D. Vance. J.D. Vance claims that he is from my hometown, and he is not. He is not an Appalachian. And he was a spoiled rich kid. This is Danica Patrick. She used to drive for IndyCar and NASCAR. You mainly know her as the GoDaddy girl. She was the GoDaddy girl.
And my parents love their garden. They still do. It's beautiful. But my parents instilled really good values in me. They instilled values to dream really big, to be honest, and to work hard.
DSW, what the fuck are you talking about? Vance did not grow up poor in a trailer park. He grew up with his affluent grandmother in Ohio. The whole facade, it's a facade. Why do you guys fall for that shit? How? How do you guys keep falling for just fake shit? And Trump didn't grow up. Fair enough. Oh, you were talking about Vince McMahon? Oh, yeah, he did grow up poor in a trailer park in North Carolina. That's actually true. And perhaps was raped by his stepdad? Oh, his stepmom. Okay. Was it his No, it was his stepdad, because his mom was in North Carolina, his dad was in New York. I have not watched the Vince miniseries yet. I might watch it after I get off here. Probably not, because what I'm hearing from a lot of wrestling fans is you already know everything. I mean, I consume a hell of a lot of wrestling content, so But also, I like wrestling documentaries, so I probably will watch it. Let's go to another right-wing celebrity, because they've got... So I'm also going to have to explain to you who this motherfucker is. I only know about him from WWE. This is country music, apparently superstar, Hardy. His name is Hardy. He also has got some big feelings.
Especially this year with all the crazy shit going on. I see a lot of people posting and talking shit about living in the United States of America.
It's Fat Kid Rock.
Citizen. And to that I say, fuck you. If you don't like living here, you fucking go live somewhere else, motherfucker.
Well, man, like, what are you talking about? All the right-wingers that constantly bitch about how horrible the country is? Because that's all I ever hear from right-wingers is how much they hate it here.
The United States is the greatest country on this planet.
This motherfucker should be arrested for those shorts with those legs.
I'm damn proud to live in this country. I'm damn proud of it. We got people that work their fucking ass off every single day of their life. Put their life on the fucking line so we can go to concerts.
We have LP at home. LP at home.
And Neil Stadium. So we can drink fucking beer and hang out and just be normal fucking people. And that's a country that I like to call God's country.
God's Country. He's promoting the 2013 movie by Justin Mullins about a group of college students who go hiking in the woods around the North Carolina-Tennessee border and get taken hostage by a right-wing paramilitary group.
And if you believe that shit, I want to see you sing every single word back to me tonight.
His jersey's number 69. I have a feeling that dude doesn't do much 69ing, just judging from the gut. I really shouldn't make fun of his appearance. That's horrible of me. That's like some right-wing bullshit. Making fun of like shit people can't help, like being a woman or being a Haitian. Republican Senate candidate in Ohio, Bernie Moreno, says women over 50 don't have any reason to support reproductive rights.
Got this tape now. I mentioned before the break that we just got in something sort of shocking from a U.S. Senate candidate, a Republican candidate. This is coming from Ohio. In Ohio, the Democratic incumbent senator is, of course, Senator Sherrod Brown. He's running for re-election. Republicans have nominated a wealthy car dealer to try to unseat Sherrod Brown. The Republican candidate is named Bernie Moreno. And we just got in this tape of Bernie Moreno at a campaign event in Lebanon, Ohio. Watch.
You know, the left has a lot of single-issue voters. Sadly, by the way, there's a lot of suburban women. A lot of suburban women that are like, listen, abortion's it. If I can't have an abortion in this country whenever I want, I will vote for anybody else. Okay, a little crazy, by the way, but especially for women that are like past 50, I'm thinking to myself, that's an issue for you. Oh, thank God my wife didn't hear that one. Oh, they get in trouble.
Wow. And thank God my wife didn't hear that one. Holy shit. I hope she leaves you over this. And I'm going to spring this one on you, right-wingers. This is not good policy.
Oh, thank God my wife didn't hear that one. A little crazy, by the way, but especially for women that are like past 50. I'm thinking to myself, I don't think that's an issue for you. That tape just in from Lebanon, Ohio. Republican Senate candidate Bernie Moreno saying any woman over 50 doesn't have any reason to support reproductive rights. Abortion rights? Are you kidding? Because, you know, women over 50.
What are you talking about, CSW? That's literally what right-wingers believe. That's mask off. Give you a bad name. That's who you people are. That's why I gotta get through to you, brother, because you're a good man. We're gonna convert you yet. I don't think you just fell out of a coconut tree.
You think you just fell out of a coconut tree?
I don't know. How do you not believe it? Like I sit here and play example after example after example of just right-wingers being the biggest pieces of shit in the world. Here's you another one. Republican Representative Clay Higgins goes completely mask off with racist, vile threat to Haitians. Clay Higgins has taken Donald Trump and J.D. Vance's threat against Haitian immigrants to the next level. Man, I saw this right after he tweeted it out. Like, ooh. Republican Representative Clay Higgins made a racist attack on Haitians Wednesday, referencing several racist tropes and the debunked pet-eating conspiracy from Ohio. In his post on Twitter, the Louisiana congressman said, "These Haitians are wild. Eating pets? Damn, shut me down there. Eating pets? Voodoo? Nastiest country in the Western Hemisphere? Cults? Slapstick gangsters, but damned if they don't feel all sophisticated now, filing charges against our president and vice president." They're not the president and vice president, by the way. And he was responding to a headline that Haitian group in Springfield has filed a citizen's criminal charge against Trump and Vance. Higgins was apparently upset that the Haitian American nonprofit organization took advantage of an Ohio law allowing citizens to file affidavits for criminal offenses and filed charges against Donald Trump and J.D. Vance for spreading the debunked rumor that Haitian immigrants in Springfield, Ohio, captured and ate pets, ducks, and geese. Higgins' post is not only bigoted, but also echoes the same sentiments as Trump, Vance, and many other right-wing figures who have called for Haitians legally in the United States to be deported. Many of these figures, led by the Republican presidential and vice presidential nominees, have continued attacking Haitians despite the uptick in violent threats against schools, hospitals, and government buildings in Springfield. Recently, Trump has expanded his attacks against the Haitian immigrants from Springfield to another town, Charleroi, Pennsylvania. As was the case in Ohio, Charleroi's town officials have pushed back, with Charleroi borough manager Joe Manning remarking, "There's what the former president is saying. There's what the former president is saying, and then there's the easily observable reality." The driver in 2020 who rammed a Biden-Harris campaign bus has been found liable. Trump train driver who hit into the Biden-Harris campaign volunteer behind the bus in 2020 said, "I kind of saved Texas." Woo! Fred, welcome in. Thank you for the resub. The Trump train pickup truck driver who hit into a Biden-Harris volunteer's vehicle behind the campaign's bus on I-35 in Texas back in 2020 was the only one of several defendants found liable by a federal jury to the tune of $40,000 in a long-running Ku Klux Klan Act lawsuit. Wendy Davis, a Democratic former member of the Texas Senate, former Biden-Harris campaign staffer David Jens, and bus driver Tim Holloway won their case only as to Eleazar Cisneros, putting him on the hook for Tim Cisneros. You're a Trump supporter. Trump supporters would love to deport you. Just by your name, just by virtue of your name, they would love to send you back to Mexico, my friend. Leopards eating face party is what they call this. Cisneros putting him on the hook for $10,000 in compensatory damages and $30,000 in punitive damages. The plaintiff's attorney said on Monday in early August it became clear that the case would head to trial nearly 4 years after the incident from the lead up to the 2020 election. The lawsuit alleged that defendants Cisneros, Dolores Park, Jocelyn Messeros, Robert Messeros, and Steve Keh together took part in a conspiracy to ambush the Biden-Harris bus on the highway in an act of political intimidation, infringing on plaintiffs' rights to engage in or support advocacy in federal elections. In the end, the jury only found Cisneros responsible. However, the U.S. District Judge Robert Pittman's prior ruling in the case and jury instructions provided some insight as to why that might be. Much of the judge's ruling denying summary judgment recounted Cisneros' communication before the incident and in the aftermath, including during a deposition. The judge wrote that Cisneros described hitting the campaign volunteer's car as me slamming that fucker and welcoming him properly to Texas. The judge also said Cisneros boasted that he was smart enough to get the entire Biden-Harris campaign canceled in Texas. Called the driver of the staffer vehicle Antifa. I'm more than sure that he testified at a deposition he pushed the staffer back and agreed that he hit him, and that there was evidence he once texted co-defendant Jocelyn Messeros asking for a custom-made "Don't Make Me Rittenhouse Your Ass" t-shirt. Then during a deposition, Cisneros cast himself as a savior of Texas. Even during the deposition, Cisneros reflected on the success of his plan. So it was a success that I kind of saved Texas from people like that would quit in the smallest face of adversity. I would want somebody a lot stronger than that, somebody who won't quit. The judge further said that Cisneros had just 1 month before the Trump train incident made headlines for driving through a crowd of Black Lives Matter protests, hoping to cause a little bit of fear. And you know what? I don't blame Cisneros. He's just a dumb fuck. A lot of these people out here are dumb fucks. They have no critical thinking skills, and they hear right-wing media fearmonger to them constantly. If you don't have the ability to discern bullshit, and you are bombarded constantly from your friends and family, your church, and all you watch is Fox News and see right-wing memes and shit, yeah, you probably think the country is going to hell and that Democrats are evil because you're goddamn brainwashed, you stupid fucks. I feel sorry for your dumb asses for falling for such obvious nonsense. It's all about January 6th now. Apparently, hold on, I might have to, let's do this. Let's do this first. This is Jim Jordan questioning FBI officials. Let me come back to this one. Smokey, I can't see what's going on. Smokey, you're in my way, buddy.
Gentleman yields back. Mr. Allen, September 29, 2021, you sent an email questioning Director Wray's testimony in front of Congress. You said in that email, there is good possibility the D.C. elements of our organization are not being forthright about the events of January 6th. You remember that email?
Yes, sir.
And you didn't send that to anyone. You sent that to the people you're supposed to send it to, members of the Joint Terrorism Task.
Wait. Cisneros? It's not Cisneros? Cisneros sounds stupid. It can't be Cisneros. Oh my God, Smokey, I just put you down. Buddy, we have been going through this all goddamn day. I love you, but you are clawing the shit out of me, and you will not let me fucking work. Sorry. Me and the cat, we're having a little issue right now.
Force, is that right?
That's correct.
Now, the very next day I find to be interesting, on September 30th, 2021, the next day, just so happened your 5-year reauthorization for your security clearance came due, and they said no problem. Mr. Allen should keep his security clearance. After all, he's had it for 20 years, right?
Yep.
That happened the next day.
Correct, sir.
Decorated Marine veteran, employee of the year at the Charlotte field office, had a security clearance for 20 years. They reauthorized your security clearance. Something else happened that next day. Your email got forwarded to the security division and to Mr. Beltry. Is that right?
That's correct.
And then 19 days later, Mr. Veltri opened an investigation into your security clearance status. I get all those facts right, Mr. Levitt? Is that what happened with Marcus in those 2 days? And then 19 days later?
Yes, except for from what we can tell, Veltri directed that day that it be opened. It's just that the underlings under him didn't carry that out until 19 days later.
Yeah. And he directed, they look into a guy, decorated Marine veteran, held a security clearance for 20. They look into him because Mr. Allen said there's a chance the FBI leadership hasn't been square with us, right?
That's correct.
And he cited a New York Times article. They thought the same thing. And oh, by the way, there's the history that we all know about. FBI spied on the president's campaign, lied to the FISA court, investigated parents at school board meetings, said if you're a pro-life Catholic, you're an extremist. So we got all that history, and he gets investigated for that because he simply questioned the leadership, went through the appropriate channels. Mr. Horowitz, did Mr. Veltri and the people at the Security Division follow the standard process?
They did not.
They did not. In fact, isn't it true that, Mr. Levitt, isn't it true that some of the people, I think you cited 4 of them in your statement, 4 people, the initial investigator, the second investigator, the first adjudicator, and another adjudicator, all got reassigned. They all agreed that Mr. Allen should keep his security clearance. This investigation shouldn't have happened, and they get reassigned or something happens to them.
4 of them all did not recommend that his clearance be, that there be a negative action on it. 2 of them were reassigned.
2 were reassigned. Some of them are whistleblowers now, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Man, if that's not political, I don't know what is. Oh, and they didn't stop there. They piled on. They also said, Mr. Allen, he questioned whether he should get the vaccine or not. They came after him for that. Is that right, Mr. Levitt?
Yes.
And then they went after his faith. Direct attack on the First Amendment.
What?
Because he's a Christian, because he's a Catholic, because he takes his faith seriously. Oh, my goodness. We got to take his security clearance away from him, even though he served our country, decorated Marine, and held a security clearance for 20 years. That sure looks political to me, Inspector General Horowitz. Does it look political to you?
Well, Congressman, as I said earlier, we've seen issues with the FBI and how it's treated whistleblowers, frankly, across the spectrum. And I agree with you, it's very concerning that would be done here.
We know they're political because while all this is going on, they used the questionnaire. Isn't that right, Mr. Levitt? Isn't that right? They used this questionnaire to people they wanted to snitch on folks like Marcus Allen. They gave him a questionnaire.
Those were used in the case of a handful of employees, and I know that Mr. Horowitz's office is looking at that. I think it's important to note that the questionnaire wasn't the only thing, right? That these questions were asked across the board.
I'm talking about the way they piled on to go after Mr. Allen and keep his security clearance and keep his pay from him for 27 months. And they did the same thing to Garrett O'Boyle. And what that has meant, as you indicated in your testimony, what
so creepy.
That has meant to his family and Mr. O'Boyle's family. And this questionnaire said, did anyone ever vocalize support for President Trump? All right, you're allowed to say things about the President of the United States when you work in the FBI, aren't you, Mr. Horowitz?
I'm sorry?
You're allowed to say you support a president. You're allowed to say that in the FBI.
Absolutely. Those questions are highly inappropriate.
And you're allowed to decide what kind of health decisions you're going to make with your own body, right?
Correct.
Those shouldn't be grounds for saying you're somehow disloyal to the country, but that's what they did. Highly inappropriate questions being asked of witnesses during security clearance investigations. That's your testimony, right, Mr. Horowitz?
That's correct.
And he got reinstated just recently. Marcus Allen got reinstated, right, Marcus?
Yes, sir.
Why haven't they given you your money?
I am not aware why it's taking them 4 months to cut a check for all the back pay. I have no idea why it's taking that long.
They put you through pure hell for 27 months, falsely accused you. They go through the process. 4 people get reassigned because they agree with you, but the politics of Mr. Veltri, who, oh, by the way, as Mr. Levitt pointed out, is now running the second assassination investigation on President Trump in Miami. I find that just astonishing. And they won't pay you.
Right. We're still waiting for the payout.
When was the final agreement? When was the final settlement with the FBI? What was the date, Mr. Levitt?
June 1st.
Well, they've had time. Doesn't take that long to write a check, for goodness sake. So he's still in waiting. That's how our FBI treats a good man who has served our country for 20 plus years. It's ridiculous. And yet the Democrats say there's no weaponization. You got to be kidding me. My time has expired. I now recognize the gentlelady from California.
There were other things that came out during this hearing, but I don't really want to go. They're saying there were feds inside rioters in January 6th, which I totally believe. But I don't think we're getting the full story out of here. I need to find the appropriate clips. I'm not getting a good summary. Let's go to this hearing with Congresswoman Nancy Mace. Apparently, this sheriff called her a liar, and she's upset about it.
And talking about extraordinary foolish, I know that was said earlier by one of our witnesses. It's not just cities, it's counties too. I've been nuking Charleston County Sheriff over the last 24 hours over her lies about the illegals that are in South Carolina, her lies about releasing them into our state, and that sort of thing. And when you're talking about New York, Mr. Biggs, if you talk to an NYPD officer, they'll tell you they're not charging these illegals with crimes. And then when they do, they're released and they're not given a bail or a bond when they go out. And so the left, it's just all one big lie, and it's not right to American people. And the statistic that crime is down for migrants,
I feel like I could hear like a Madison Star Moon say this kind of shit. Like, also, Nancy, I like the haircut, and something about your dress I kind of enjoy.
Illegal who is here illegally, entered our country illegally. They literally committed a crime on the way in. So they are all 100% guilty of committing a crime. Mr. Chairman, I brought a folder today because I'm
a lot of cleavage for daytime, yes, Shelley.
Congressional record this afternoon. So I want to thank our witnesses for being
here. And is it just okay?
Time.
She has a pearl necklace, but there's a gigantic cross in the middle of those boobies. She's got a cross giving her a titty slap.
A titty slap!
Come on now.
No, Ducky.
On the human costs of sanctuary policies from local officials, including Charleston County Sheriff, Sanctuary Sheriff Kristen Graziano, and I hope she's watching today. If she's watching, I hope you have a number 2 pencil and you take notes, because this is how I do my job. Charleston County Sheriff, the Charleston County actually in my district used to be a model for cooperation between ICE and local law enforcement. It is no more. Charleston County had a 287G cooperation agreement in place with ICE, acted as an over 72-hour detention facility for aliens apprehended by ICE, and worked together to enforce our nation's laws and keep our community safe. No more because of Sanctuary Sheriff Kristen Graziano.
She's a lizard person.
21, the new sheriff of Charleston County, Sanctuary Sheriff Kristen Graziano, began a systematic effort to dismantle immigration enforcement in Charleston County. Sheriff Graziano, on her first day in office, terminated Charleston County's 287G cooperation agreement with ICE. She announced this in front of a taco shop. I don't know why.
What?
So, Mr. Chairman, I would like to ask unanimous consent to enter this picture of Sheriff Graziano terminating her 287G agreement in front of El Pincho Taco into the record.
Without objection.
El Pincho Taco.
I also would like to request unanimous consent to enter this photo. It's Sanctuary Sheriff Kristen Graziano's Twitter header. Here she is with wide open borders are Kamala Harris. Here she is with Joe Biden, who often loved to walk away from the podium and not take questions from press, just like Sanctuary Sheriff Kristen Graziano did today at her own press conference. I'm not sure who did it better, her or Joe Biden. Mr. Chairman, I would like to enter this.
Without objection.
Thank you.
This is a sitting congresswoman upset about a sheriff in her district. And like roasting her on national TV. Yeah, we already made mention of the boobs. The boobs were kind of obvious. Good evening, Fire Resist.
I would like to also...
They are eating that cross.
Sheriff Graziano refuses to notify ICE when a criminal illegal alien is in custody and refuses to provide adequate hold time for ICE to assume custody. I'm going to request unanimous consent, Mr. Chairman, to enter her statement yesterday where she says, our policy clearly states on our public website We only hold residents for ICE if they have a I-247, a detainer immigration center signed by an immigration judge. That's per her office policy. I would like to enter her statement into the record, Ms.
It means if they committed an actual crime.
In that same vein, I'm going
Like
to
not something petty.
office policy that says she can and will release illegal aliens into South Carolina. This is her policy she cites as the reason she does this. Did you know she wrote and signed off on her own department policy? It doesn't get any dumber than this. Literally is one of the dumbest things I've ever seen in South Carolina history.
She wrote and signed off on her own department's policy, and you think that's dumb? Am I missing something?
Her department has been designated as a non-cooperative by ICE. Mr. Chairman, I would like to enter this list of non-cooperative institutions into the congressional record, sir.
Without objection.
Fuck ICE.
One at a time. I'm going to enter in request for unanimous consent to enter this document from ICE.
Unanimous consent to enter that cleavage into evidence.
Illegal immigrants into South Carolina, Mr. Chairman.
Without objection.
I would like to request unanimous consent to enter all my letters to Sheriff Graziano and ICE into the congressional record.
That's probably exactly what it is, Shelley.
Without objection.
And lastly, she called me a liar today, and she also said that crime has gone down, violent crime.
It has.
In Charleston County. Mr. Chairman, I would like to ask for unanimous consent to enter the SLED, State Law Enforcement Division's Crime in South Carolina annual report, where it shows violent crime is up. Murders, aggravated assaults, stolen vehicles, etc. It's up. It's not down. It's a lie, Mr. Chairman.
Without objection.
Thank you. And
up since when? When they say that, I want to know, up since when? Are you saying it's up since March of 2020? Are you comparing March of 2020 to March of 2024 or something? I bet it is up. I want to know the numbers you're saying, because crime is at historical lows. And the dip we saw between 2023 and 2024 was the biggest dip in violent crime ever recorded. So you hear all these right-wingers talking about crime, but it's nonsense. You're going to have to take a commercial break if you're not subbed on Twitch. We got so many wild stories when we come back. We're going to get into the sheriff that shot the judge in Kentucky. He was arraigned today. A bus was hijacked and there was a chase in L.A. A bomb went off in a courthouse. All that and a lot freaking more on the other side of the break on the Troll Patrol live. You saw me do the countdown thing, right? That wasn't the countdown to the commercial break. That was the countdown until they came back from commercial break. All the people that aren't subbed on Twitch just got back from commercial break. Because my dumb ass completely missed it. Anyway, next story. We're getting into the crime portion of the show. We're slowly going from politics to crime. U.S. Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez has called for Eric Adams to resign as mayor of New York City. How long can he possibly last? Almost his entire administration is gone now.
Schools Chancellor David Banks was with the mayor today when he announced the new schools chancellor, Melissa Ramos. She's currently a deputy chancellor and is set to take over in January.
This, of course, is the latest chapter in what has been a tumultuous few weeks for the Adams administration. The school's chancellor, along with the former NYPD commissioner Edward Caban, health commissioner Ashwin Vasu,
Lenny, thank you for throwing out the gift sub.
Council have all left or are leaving.
As for the mayor himself, Mr. Adams insists he's continuing to do the city's business, but from the outside, the pressure is starting to build. Tonight, New York Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez is calling for the mayor to step down. Lots going on. Eyewitness News reporter.
Get your ass out of here, son.
Lead story. Newt.
And right, Bill, tonight in a sharply worded statement, the mayor of New York is calling the Congresswoman a hypocrite. More on that in a moment. But first, tension here at City Hall and the mayor's apparent attempts to keep calm and carry on.
It's the image the Adams administration was determined to project.
The mayor all smiles while praising outgoing schools chancellor David Banks, who insisted he was retiring, not resigning.
First of all, after 40 years, I'm tired.
Banks embraced his fiancée, First Deputy Mayor Sheena Wright.
He is under investigation, though.
Appearance together since the FBI seized their cell phones and laptops exactly 3 weeks ago today. Banks is now the fourth administration official to offer his resignation this month. Health Commissioner Ashwin Vasan announced that he, like Banks, will leave at the end of the year. Police Commissioner Edward Caban resigned after his phones were seized. And Lisa Zornberg, the mayor's chief counsel, abruptly quit after sources say her legal advice was ignored. The scope of the investigation.
Yet when the lawyer quits.
In the recent history of City Hall. Broadly focused on the NYPD's nightlife enforcement practices and influence peddling in awarding city contracts. The FBI has also seized the electronics belonging to David Banks' brother, Deputy Mayor Phil Banks, and a third Banks brother, private consultant Terrence Banks, as well as top Adams advisor Timothy Pearson. The mayor surrendered his own phones last November as part of a separate federal probe into his ties to Turkey and 5 other nations. He insisted yesterday he has no plans to resign.
I'm stepping up, not stepping down. I have a city to run.
This morning, City Council Speaker Adrian Adams.
Does he make it to the end of the year?
Do you have confidence in Mayor Adams' ability to govern the city?
Yes, I do, and I think that's all I'm going to answer on that.
Sentiments echoed in Washington by House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries.
I can tell Mayor Adams is trying to do the best that he can in one of the toughest jobs.
Oh, fuck you, Jeffries.
To keep the focus on meeting the needs of the residents of the people of New York City.
But Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez was blunt on social media. For the good of the city, she wrote, he should resign.
Yep.
And the mayor's response tonight, quote, for anyone who self-righteously claims people charged with serious crimes should not be in jail, to now say that the second black mayor of New York should resign because of rumors and innuendo without even a...
No. We believe that people with who've been charged with serious crimes to be in jail, like you and Trump.
Single charge being filed is the height of hypocrisy. I will stay and fight, he says, no matter what, end quote. Again, to be clear, nobody has been charged with or accused of any crime. Speaker Adams told me today she will take questions from reporters here tomorrow.
Yes, quesadilla. Wild. All right, here's the drama you've all been waiting for. I don't think we're going to get any new information out of this. No. This is the arraignment of the sheriff in Kentucky who shot a judge. We know for a fact that there was a lawsuit against a sheriff's deputy who had to resign. He was trading sexual favors, and he did it inside of the judge's chambers. But we don't know if this has anything to do with it. The sheriff apparently showed his phone to the judge. The judge showed his phone to the sheriff, and the sheriff shot him. This is the arraignment.
All right, I'm going to call the case of Commonwealth versus Sean Steins, 24F 147.
Steins is the name of the sheriff.
Is the Commonwealth present?
Yes, Your Honor. Good morning, Judge Ramsey Dallum on behalf of the Commonwealth.
And Jackie Steele also on behalf of the Commonwealth, Your Honor.
All right, thank you. And I see the defendant is at the Leslie County Detention Center.
Yes, Your Honor.
And who is standing next to him?
I'm Josh Miller, Public Defender of the Capital Trials Branch.
Danny Clark, Jailer, Leslie County.
All right, thank you. And has the defendant filed a petition for indigency?
Not at this point, Your Honor.
Okay. And what about the Commonwealth? Does Commonwealth want to make any statements before I proceed with the arraignment?
No, Your Honor. Other than I don't know why Mr. Miller is present. If he's not filed out an agency paperwork, his office has not been appointed I don't know that he has any reason to be here as in an official capacity as an attorney.
Right. Mr. Miller,
He's getting ready to be arraigned.
do you believe that he's entitled to a public defender?
He was arraigned earlier today.
I do, Your Honor.
And why is that?
This is a capital eligible case, and I believe that the cost of defending ethical defense of a capital eligible case will exceed his means.
Would you like to respond to that, Mr. Steele?
I would, Your Honor. A couple of things. One, I believe what he's telling me is that he's been out soliciting a client, which is obviously not allowed under our ethical obligations as attorneys. Two, even if he hasn't, if he has and he's been out trying to discern how much his financial capacities are, he's wasting state resources without an appointment. And this court is the party that appoints an attorney, not DPA, whatever division, just because they think he's going to need one.
Would you like to respond to that, Mr. Miller?
Your Honor, in cases like this, it is essential that a defense investigation start immediately, and I haven't solicited anything, but advised Mr. Steins of his rights.
It is weird for you to be there.
We will represent him.
Is he still the sheriff of Leslie County?
At this point, I believe so. Letcher County.
Letcher County, Letcher.
I'm sorry.
Judge, I can't speak to that.
He is the sheriff of Letcher County. He is being held in Leslie County because obviously he can't be held by his own staff.
That, and he currently is still the sheriff of Letcher County.
Yeah, well, I don't think he would qualify as an indigent defendant.
Yep.
Well, sir, we're happy to, or Mr. Steins is happy to put any paperwork, file anything that would help the court make that determination. Obviously, the court is the one that appoints us.
Well, usually this is something that you see. This is highly unusual. Like, you wouldn't have a public defender going, hey, I'm here, I'm going to defend this guy. It's something that the court would do after he enters his plea. And he would have a assessment with a court worker about his finances. And then the judge would take that into consideration. So I'm suspicious of who that dude is and what his involvement is to the case.
Not at this point, Your Honor.
All right, we'll proceed with formal arraignment. Are you Sean Steins?
Yes, sir.
You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can't be used against you. Have your silence can't be used to find you guilty. County attorney must prove your guilt, or the Commonwealth must prove your guilt beyond a reasonable doubt. You have the right to call witnesses on your behalf. You have the right to cross-examine witnesses called against you. You have the right to a speedy and public trial by a jury of your peers. You have the right to an attorney. If you cannot afford an attorney, I'll appoint one to represent you. And you have the right to appeal any decision that I make. You're charged with murder, a capital offense here in Kentucky, a Class A felony, punishable by 20 to 50 years in prison, 25 years to life in prison, 25 years to life without the possibility of parole, and the possibility of the death penalty. Do you have an attorney, Mr. Steins?
I have not hired one.
Have you tried to hire an attorney? Have you spoken to any attorneys about taking your case?
No, sir.
And are you telling me that you don't have the means to, do you not have the means? Do you own a home?
Yes.
Do you own any other real estate?
Got a place in Tennessee, but I still owe for it with the bank.
This is the county jailer of the jail that he's in. And then this is the public defender who we think is sus.
Yeah, do you know how much equity you have in your own home?
My home and my property is paid for.
And do you have an estimated value of that real property?
I think the PBA's got it on for about $45,000.
And what's your income?
It's based on statute. I think this year it was going to be 115.
You make 150. You make 115 grand a year as the sheriff of Letcher goddamn County, Kentucky. Are you fucking with me? I could have easily accepted 60, 70 grand. We're talking one of the poorest communities in the world. There is no way a sheriff should be making 115 fucking grand. Not in Letcher County. Maybe if you're in if you're LA County, I can see making six figures. No fucking goddamn.
My home and my property is paid for.
And do you have an estimated value of that real property?
I think the PBA's got it on for about $45,000.
And what's your income?
It's based on statute. I think this year it was going to be 115.
You can afford an attorney.
Yeah.
Pay for your own goddamn attorney.
Savings, bank account?
I had a check-ins. Sir, it's my understanding that he's in the process of losing his job as a sheriff.
Well, yeah.
Letcher County, obviously, and will not have income going forward. His family is not prepared for this eventuality. And again, I think the cost of defending one of these cases can reach well into this several $100,000.
I don't care. $115K is balling in Kentucky, exactly. In Eastern Kentucky, remember this is Eastern Kentucky. This isn't Lexington. This isn't Louisville.
Entitled to have a preliminary hearing within 10 days from the date of this arraignment. Do you believe you'll be able to obtain counsel to represent you on these charges within those 10 days?
I hope so. It's kind of hard, where I'm at, having contact with people I need to.
The court recognizes that it is going to take.
The median income in Letcher County, Kentucky is $21,944 as of 2022. The median income in the county where he is sheriff is $21,944 US.
A considerable amount of money to retain an attorney to represent you on this capital offense. However, I don't believe you do at this time qualify as for public assistance.
I told you it's one of the poorest areas in the world.
However, based on the circumstances of this case and the fact that we do need to have a preliminary hearing within 10 days, I'm going to appoint the Public Defender's Office to represent you for the limited purpose of
I'm not high enough for this.
At your preliminary hearing. If and when this case does proceed to circuit court, the circuit court may require you to hire your own counsel. Do you understand that, Mr. Steins?
Yes, sir.
All right. I'll enter does he want to enter a plea at this time?
Your Honor, he would enter a plea of not guilty and request a date for preliminary hearing.
All right. We'll set the preliminary hearing next Tuesday, October the 1st at 1 o'clock in West Liberty, Kentucky.
That is where we will get some details. So Tuesday's going to be a big day for us. It's also the vice presidential debate. Everyone's going to plead not guilty. If you're going to plead guilty in this case, you're going to do it later. You're not going to do it in arraignment. You're going to let lawyers haggle and come up with a deal, and you're going to do it down the road. He didn't commit it in court. He committed it in the judge's chambers.
Excuse me, Your Honor, we said October 1st at 1 o'clock.
Yes, October 1st at 1 o'clock in West Liberty, Kentucky.
And they were apparently friends. They went out to lunch that day.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Anything else before we adjourn this hearing?
Not at this time, Your Honor.
Just one thing, Judge. I do have one thing, Judge, just for clarification. In regards to transportation for the defendant, how would the court prefer? I don't care to do an order for that to be done.
I was thinking that we would have the state police post a transport if they would. I don't know that we'll need an order. I'll just request it, and if that's a problem, we can work out other transportation.
So yeah, just not guilty plea. Well, Shelly, this is completely rumor. People are speculating. I'm from there, so I've seen the people talk about it. But this is 100% a rumor. As I said, what we do know is that a sheriff's deputy was fired for having trading sexual favors for home detention. And he was doing this to female inmates in the judge's chambers that got shot. The sheriff is named in the lawsuit, but the judge isn't. And that actually happened earlier this year. That happened like in January or February. So it could have something to do with that. But the rumor going around in eastern Kentucky, and it's very salacious because it's a small town, is that the judge was having an inappropriate relationship with the sheriff's daughter. And that the thing that they saw on each other's phones, that the sheriff had the evidence of them talking back and forth, and verified it on the judge's phone. That is just a rumor. And what we know to be fact could have been enough to lead to this. So take it with a grain of salt. But we should get some details on Tuesday, or at least an idea of what his defense or what the facts of the case are for the prosecution on Tuesday. Now let's take it to Cali, where what a fucking day they've had out in California. Let's start with some more goings on at the courthouse. A suspect is in custody following an explosion at a courthouse in California.
We begin with a busy hour of breaking news, and we'll start with Southern California.
Right now, authorities are at the scene of an explosion at a courthouse in the city of Santa Maria. The local sheriff's office says it appears that an improvised explosive device was set off.
Let's get right to NBC News law enforcement and intelligence correspondent Tom Winter, who's with us on set. So, Tom, this is all developing right now. What do we know so far?
That's right, Kate. What we know is that apparently there was some sort of an explosion at the courthouse. Whether or not there was an incendiary...
It doesn't even look like a courthouse.
More flame than kaboom, if you will, just to put it in layman's term, is not exactly clear yet. 2 people have been hurt. They have non-life-threatening injuries, according to the sheriff's office. This is happening in Santa Barbara County in California. And the big question now is, was this individual trying to target a specific courtroom, a specific judge? Was there a legal proceeding?
More fire than kaboom.
Parties in a specific case that they were going after? Or was this more about making a political statement? So it's just too soon to say. This all happened just before 11 a.m. Pacific time today. And right now, authorities are trying to investigate it. Our colleague Andrew Blankstein, who covers law enforcement in this part of the country, just messaged me and said that there's now a 5-block perimeter around that courthouse. They're going to search the vehicle and try to determine whether or not there are either weapons or additional explosives.
Seven Heavy Steel, good evening.
So that's the latest as far as the investigation goes. And
they are clearly not concerned that there are other explosive devices, just by the way they're standing around.
So this will continue to unfold.
Tom, can you help us understand what kind of security is typical at a courthouse like this? Because just last week we saw a judge shot and killed in his chambers in Kentucky.
Oh my God, Seven Heavy Steel, we just watched him get arraigned. You came... What, 2 minutes late for that one? We just watched his arraignment. But there's no real update. There's no real update to it. He pled not guilty. if we're gonna get any new details, it'll be on Tuesday. No, we still don't know what's on the phone. We're a long way away from knowing the whole story. If we get some details, maybe what the prosecution's case is going to be, or maybe an inkling of what the defense is going to be, we're going to find out on Tuesday when he has a pretrial conference. But I don't think that's not going to be televised. I don't. That's usually like a thing where they talk amongst themselves, maybe in the judges' chambers. I wouldn't want to be in the judges' chambers with him.
Right, and that was by a local sheriff, so that makes it even more difficult because that's somebody who has a lawful reason to bring a gun into a courthouse. That's their role. In this particular instance, I think that's the big question is where exactly did this explosion take place? And then did it take place at a specific checkpoint or were they able to get past security? Now, it really, once you go to the state level, it varies courthouse to courthouse, county to county across the country. So some allow you to get in, at least have access to the public records, make your filings and do things like that. Other courthouses say, look, before you even can get in and use the bathroom, you got to go through a metal detector and you got to be searched.
Most are like that.
We'll come out here in the course of this investigation.
All right, Tom Winter, thank you.
Sure thing.
I haven't been in a courthouse in fucking years. That you didn't get like completely patted down, metal detector, all that good shit. Since I was like a wee little kid. Holiday, did I tell you good evening? I don't think I have tonight. I think that is the first time I've seen you appear. I know we go through this like every fucking night. Mox, did I tell you good evening? Apparently, Twitch is on commercial break, so we'll give everybody like a minute here. I'll get a little more high. Mox, I don't know about that. You say the real rural ones, but like, I'm from Eastern Kentucky. I did news in Eastern Kentucky. I don't know how it gets more rural than that, and all the courthouses I covered had metal detectors. And this was in the mid-2000s. Really, Soup? That's odd. Yeah, I went to the courthouse just a few weeks ago here, and then I'm in a more... I don't want to say a metropolitan area, but it's bigger than, Letcher County, Leslie County. What? He was just indicted. We just did Eric Adams just a little bit ago. No fucking way. Fuck, we were just like, how long is he going to be able to last? We just did this story just like... Yeah, breaking within like the last half hour.
More news, more New York officials calling on Mayor Eric Adams to resign here because of all of this. I want to put this up. You see there from the New York Times that Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez said Eric Adams should resign as mayor of New York City. Resign because of rumors and innuendo.
Hold on.
A single charge.
We've already done this.
Is the height of hypocrisy. I am leading this city to protect it from exactly that kind of phony politics. The people of this city elected me to fight for them, and I will stay and fight no matter what. Okay, we are getting some breaking news in right now. This is quite something. Okay, this is coming to us from the New York Times, and this is quite stunning. I had just said in this entire story that we have been covering that no indictments, no charges had yet been filed in all of this scandal going on in New York City, in the mayor's office, City Hall, the NYPD, the New York City Public Schools. The New York Times has it right now that Mayor Eric Adams of New York City was indicted following a federal corruption investigation. That's according to people briefed on the case here. This is breaking right now. This is quite stunning here. We just read out that statement from the mayor firing back at AOC. AOC becoming the first New York member of Congress to call on Adams to resign. There are, though, in Albany, several state lawmakers who have already done just that, calling on Adams to resign. AOC becomes the first U.S. House member from the New York delegation.
Now, if he's been indicted, he needs to resign.
City has been indicted following a federal corruption investigation. Remember, he first came to power as mayor back in 2021 after winning that election there. And so
nothing would shock me, Mox.
Says this is just from the New York Times. We're going to wait to see if other outlets confirm it, like the Associated Press. We're waiting on sources here at Fox as well to confirm what we just brought to you, as well as Fox 5 there in New York. And we'll wait to see from the mayor's office what their response is to this. And once that indictment, whenever it is unsealed, we'll have to look at what charges Adams is facing here. But that is the news right now.
I mean, dude is clearly corrupt.
Facing weeks.
That's been obvious since the beginning.
Almost everyone in his orbit being swept up into these scandals that have plagued the Big Apple for months. Eric Adams, the mayor, being indicted. We don't know on what just yet here, but that is breaking from the New York Times. Mayor Eric Adams has been indicted on federal criminal charges, according to people with knowledge of the matter that's being reported by the New York Times here. He will be the first mayor in New York City history to be charged while in office. This is quite something here. So the alleged public corruption right now is quite historic there in the Big Apple.
Yeah. This is the local, but I don't think they got any more.
Breaking news tonight, and for the first time in the history of New York City, a sitting mayor has been indicted.
I don't think they have any more details.
ABC News reporting that Mayor Eric Adams has been indicted by a federal grand jury. We do not know yet the exact charges.
That confirms it, though.
Juries have been investigating Adams and members of his staff, issuing subpoenas for documents and cell phones. Several members of administration have resigned. Some of them also friends of Mayor Adams. Again, Eric Adams, the 110th mayor of New York, has been indicted by a federal grand jury. We'll have the latest online and tonight on Eyewitness News at 11.
That is a wild one. That's one we're going to be covering tomorrow. I'm sure we're going to have lots of details on that tomorrow. Had to bounce over in New York and put a stop to all the California stories we were doing. One person is dead. I think several others injured. A suspect has been identified in the hijacking of a bus early this morning.
A bus driver is being praised for staying calm after his bus was hijacked following a deadly shooting.
The ordeal lasted for about an hour before the suspect was taken into custody. KTLA 5's Lauren Lister is live in downtown LA with new details and reaction from local leaders. Hi, Lauren.
Hi, Lou. Hi, Glenn. We have some new information for you at this hour after a press conference just wrapped up here at Metro headquarters a short time ago. Police, LAPD.
I think it was pretty early, so I don't think it was entirely packed.
Campbell of Los Angeles saying he was booked on suspicion of murder. One person tragically killed in this bus hijacking. The bus driver is being hailed a hero, and officials are saying more needs to be done to beef up safety on our buses and trains. Terrifying and tragic moments on this Metro bus when police say a man hijacks the bus with passengers on board, shooting one of them and holding the driver at gunpoint. Seen here, leading police on a 1-hour pursuit through downtown LA. Police say they responded after the driver activated a panic button around 12:45 a.m. near South Figueroa and Manchester Avenue. That displayed call 911 on the outside of the bus. Calls started coming in, but when officers found the
overnight,
117th and Figueroa,
I thought it was early morning,
started moving, prompting a pursuit. The pursuit went right past this man's home.
I had a thought to get chips and candy, just some snacks, late night snack. I went right on 4th and Hill. I heard sirens. I seen them flash on the buildings. I said, where is it coming from? I waited. Next thing I know, I see a bus flying through the section.
At one point in the ordeal, you can see the driver staying steady behind the wheel. What appears to be a passenger hunched over in a seat. Officers going on to deploy spike strips. The bus seen driving on a flat tire, eventually coming to a stop at East 6th and South Alameda. SWAT officers moving in. SWAT deploying flashbangs.
The fuck?
Escaping out of a window, running to safety. Officers rescuing another passenger who wasn't hurt and taking the suspect into custody.
I just can't understate the heroics of the bus operator. He was clearly under duress for over an hour, safely operated a bus.
Another passenger on the bus who had been shot multiple times was taken to a local hospital and pronounced dead.
The murder of a Metro passenger and the hijacking of a Metro bus in downtown Los Angeles late last night was a real-life nightmare.
It has no place in Los Angeles, and the individual who was arrested must be held fully accountable.
And Metro Board Chair Janice Hahn saying that she wants weapons screening on buses and trains and says that Metro is currently piloting some weapons detection system at some rail stations. As for the victim in this bus hijacking, the person shot and killed, they have not yet been identified.
Well, oh, check this. They actually they didn't go over this in that story. Apparently the bus had call 911 on the front of it.
On a Metro bus has been identified and booked on suspicion of murder.
As we learn more about Lamont Campbell, there is new scrutiny over LA's Metro system, and some of our local lawmakers are also getting frustrated. Eyewitness News reporter Ashley Mackey is live in downtown Los Angeles with the latest on the investigation and Metro's safety enhancements already in place. Ashley?
David, Ellen, still a lot of unanswered questions as the investigation on this ultimately fatal incident continues. But one thing our city officials can agree on is public safety needs to be our top priority.
In pursuit of an MTA bus southbound Figueroa approaching 120th, requesting backup air unit supervisor.
Early Wednesday morning, a Metro bus was hijacked, leaving one person dead. A suspect hijacked the Line 81 bus at gunpoint just before 1 in the morning at Figueroa Street and Manchester Avenue in South Los Angeles.
Emergency, call 911.
Passengers were on board.
Possible male with a gun holding a possible hostage.
That was generated by the bus driver pressing the 911 button that notifies the bus operations center, that notifies us that there's an emergency on the bus.
An hour-long pursuit ensued. Several spike strips were deployed, which ultimately punctured the right tire of the bus. The bus eventually came to a stop at 6th and Alameda Streets in downtown LA.
Once the bus stopped, the officers disabled it to prevent it from moving again. And SWAT officers used a distraction device, boarded the bus, rescued the bus driver, as many of you saw through the driver's window, and ultimately took the suspect into custody.
Unfortunately, one of the passengers was shot multiple times and pronounced dead at a nearby hospital. Police say the suspect, 51-year-old Lamont Campbell.
By whom, though? The cops?
At the press conference today, Mayor Bass, Supervisor Hahn, and others called on stricter safety measures for public transportation.
We now have a pilot program.
They said they charged him for murder, though. But, I'm wondering.
That is testing 3 different weapons detection systems here at Union Station. And it's my hope that we'll be able to expand this across our entire system.
There is no place for this in LA, and we will be working.
I wonder clinically.
All Angelenos, riders and operators are safe.
Because they're being purposeful about the way they're saying it.
Supervisor Hahn also mentioned establishing the Transit Public Community Safety Department and having uniformed officers ride along bus routes. She also mentioned by the end of the year, all of the buses will have the bus barriers installed, which would fully enclose bus drivers behind plexiglass as an added layer of safety precaution.
So now your bus driver is going to be like, the dude selling you your cigarettes at the gas station, completely enclosed in plexiglass. They charged him with murder, but I'm sure the cops would charge him with murder even if the cops were the ones that shot him, right? But they never said that the suspect shot the passenger. So you've got to wonder, the cops used flashbangs, but they took the suspect alive. I don't know. We'll hopefully get more details. We've got more cop shootings and and chases and shit to come. But let's keep it in Cali for right now. Where why am I even doing this story? Why am I doing? Cause there's sex involved.
You live in sexual anarchy?
Thank you. A guidance counselor at an Orthodox Jewish high school in West LA.
He's cute too.
Charged with having an unlawful sexual relationship with a 16-year-old male student. Julie Tishon is charged with multiple counts, including
That's one way to get bar mitzvahed.
Unlawful sex with a minor.
Prosecutors allege the unlawful acts took place at the boys' division of Eula High School.
Wait a minute. If you are 16 and you're Jewish, you have been bar mitzvahed, you are a man.
Here this year, KTLA's John Fenoglio live with more on the story. John?
He wasn't a teacher, he was just a counselor. I am justifying this, and I should not be.
The suspect worked at the school for at least 4 years, and LAPD detectives believe there may be other victims out there and want them to come forward.
What she did with that young man was wrong.
LAPD detective Brent Hopkins is referring to this woman, 37-year-old Julie Tishon, a former guidance counselor at Eula High School in West LA. Police arrested her last month for sexual...
How old was she? 37? Is that what they said?
In West LA. Police... This woman, 37-year-old Julie Tishon, a former guidance...
It's one thing if it was like a 20-something-year-old teacher, like a 22, 23-year-old teacher. Like, that's a little more understandable. No, ma'am, you know better.
Counselor at Eula High School in West LA. Police arrested her last month for sexually assaulting a 16-year-old male student.
Since he's under 18, he can't consent to having sex with anyone.
Nope.
And in this, it appears that it began as a professional relationship with her advising him, and then turned into something romantic, and then unfortunately turned into something criminal.
The LA District Attorney's Office has charged Tishon with 3 felony counts of unlawful intercourse with a minor and 1 felony count of oral copulation of a person under 18.
Exactly, Thread. You're right. It's horrible of me.
Particularly involving teenagers and especially involving young men. In this case, I think he had an inkling that there was something wrong and spoke up about it. This is a 37-year-old adult having sex with a child. And just because she's a woman and he's a boy doesn't make it any more permissible than it would be if it was a 37-year-old man with a...
Dude with all this riz is right.
That was okay, and this is not okay either.
All right, and you are concerned that there are other victims out there?
She's worked at the school for 4 years, and so we do have concerns that she could have done this with other people. Thankfully, the school's been very forthcoming and helpful.
Tishon faces a potential maximum 5 years in state prison if convicted as charged. She's due in court November 1st.
This dude looks like an action figure. Put a G.I. Joe uniform on me. Tell me. Yeah, he was probably military or something. Or he was Vanilla Ice. Alright, so I don't know if there were 2 separate standoffs. We're going to have to get an update on this. But this one is apparently a wild one. In today's edition of What the Fuck is Going On in Fort Worth, woman barricaded herself after allegedly firing shots at firefighters.
In Tarrant County, where firefighters were shot at while responding to a home west of Fort Worth. Janelle Fort is live near I-30 and Chapel Creek Boulevard. Janelle, why was the Fort Worth Fire Department initially called to that home?
T-minus, good evening.
Police say this all started just before 2 o'clock this afternoon. They say a woman who they believe is in her 70s called 911 saying that she had fell 5 days ago and couldn't get up and that she needed help. So as Fort Worth Fire and MedStar began making their way to the home here, they got another call to 911 from that same woman saying that if anyone tried to enter the home, that she was going to shoot them. So that's what's led to this.
What in the fuck?
Police say when the fire department got here, shots went off. Police responded shortly after, and then that woman barricaded herself inside the home. They say no medics or firefighters were hit. They don't believe the woman or anyone else was hit either. Police have been trying to get that woman out of the home ever since SWAT got here about 45 minutes ago. Police say they've been called to this home before and that the woman at the center of this is familiar to them, but they didn't provide any more information.
Jones, good evening.
That they've responded to here before.
Don't dox yourself.
This is just a concentrated effort to get that woman out of the home and to the help that she needs. Neighbors in this area have been understandably fearful as all of this has played out. Many of them wondering what's
it could be dementia.
Questions. They were asked to stay in their homes and not enter the area that's perimetered off. We spoke to one man who was working on one of the homes down this way about what he heard earlier this afternoon. Take a listen.
We heard a pop, and then all of a sudden there was about 45 police and SWAT. And we were coming back from getting some supplies, and now we can't get to the job.
If you were to describe kind of what the scene looks like, how would you describe it?
Honestly, I mean, what you see in movies, basically. Police everywhere, got the shields, SWAT. It kind of reminded me.
Tones is like, come and get me, fuckers.
Now, police say at this point their biggest concern is making sure that the community is safe. They've been trying to clear people out of the line of fire. There's a
the line of fire. Don't shoot the 70-year-old woman.
And they want people to stay out of the line of sight from that garage. They've asked people to stay in their homes as well. So this is a very fluid situation. They say they're still waiting to see how things play out. SWAT, again, is here.
It's a gender fluid situation.
Able to get that woman out safe and sound. Reporting here in Fort Worth, I'm Janelle Ford. Back to you.
Yeah, there could be a host of medical issues that could cause her to behave that way. A woman in her 70s who on Tuesday called 911 to report that she had been on the ground for several days after a fall, warned in a second call that she would shoot anyone that entered. Fire department and other emergency personnel went about 1:45 to the house after the woman's request. The authorities withdrew after the apparent gunshot and established a perimeter. Wait a minute, what's the update? This happened yesterday. Oh, no, it happened today. I'm sorry. No, it happened yesterday. What's the update? While I try to find that, let me tell you about the other standoff in Texas that did happen today. This is the First Frisco Global Methodist Church. This is in North Texas. This happened earlier today.
There's a police standoff right now at First Frisco Global Methodist Church near Stonebrook Parkway and Preston Road. Joman Puneker has been on the scene for the past couple hours now. Joman, what are you seeing out there?
Well, Chris, this standoff with this suspect is now going on more than 3 hours here. I'm going to pull to the side so you can see. They've got an armored truck just outside these front doors. They've got officers at the ready also outside these doors. Frisco police believes there is a man inside this First Frisco church. They have drones up. They brought in a dog as well. They believe he's inside. Now, this suspect had been pulled over by Frisco police at around 1:15 today, this afternoon. It was a traffic stop. Police say he jumps out of his vehicle and runs inside the church. Now, this church is connected to Friends in Christ preschool. Police say it was placed on lockdown. It appears to be on the other side of this church building. Now, parents came to pick up their kids. We saw them. Parents obviously very concerned about what's happening there. The kids were escorted out by administrators here at the school. It is unclear if this suspect is armed. It is unclear why he decided to bail from his vehicle. It's also unclear what this traffic stop was all about.
Everything is unclear.
This suspect has been going on for more than 3 hours.
Okay, so the woman from yesterday also, standoff that happened, went on for about 3 hours. So, it ended. No one was harmed. The woman inside the home is receiving medical attention. That's all we know. So, no other update. 3 hour standoff. This one had been going on for 3 hours as we were coming on. I'm going to see if I can get an update on this one. What a wild day for news. I am not seeing an update just yet. Four women have been shot in South LA and the suspects are on the run. Well, if there's a car chase. I want to know if they got the dude in the church. I'm not seeing any update on this one. We'll come back to it. We'll come back to it. We'll see if I can get it. End of the show. All right. A Texas official. We're keeping it in Texas. Did this happen in Fort Worth? This was Liberty County. I don't know where Liberty County is. Liberty County, Texas. A Liberty County official is accused of stealing a croissant after a car wreck.
All three members of the Liberty County Fire Marshal's office are fresh out of jail, accused of stealing items from victims at crash scenes and conducting inspections without the proper state licenses.
Wasn't just a croissant.
Charged with theft. All three are charged with tampering with government records. ABC 13 reporter Micah Hatfield has more from Liberty County with the details of the accusations.
Court records accuse the men of a number of things, including two of them stealing from crash scenes. In one case, an arrest affidavit says they stole cheese, croissants, and duck meat from the back of an overturned 18-wheeler on the side of 59 and then siphoned the diesel out of the truck into a tank in the back of their own vehicle. These are the men. William Hergemiller is the fire marshal in the Office of Emergency Management Coordinator for Liberty County. Jesse McGraw is the deputy fire marshal and an assistant chief of the Highway 321 Volunteer Fire Department. And Erskine Holcomb is also the deputy fire
Erskine
of the Cypress Lakes Volunteer Fire Department. In addition to the accusations about the cheese and diesel, court records accuse Hergemiller and Holcomb of stealing a number of items out of a box truck that was involved in a crash where the driver died. All three have apparently been conducting fire investigations and signing certificates of occupancy, according to court records, and none of them have the proper state licenses. They've reportedly inspected the county jail, schools, businesses, gas stations, and daycares. All three men were booked into the Liberty County Jail on Monday and have since posted bond. We did reach out to all three and have not heard back. We also stopped by the Liberty County Judge's office to ask for comment, but we're told that he was not able to comment while this investigation is ongoing. In Liberty County, Micah Hatfield, ABC 13 Eyewitness News.
They stole croissants and duck meat and cheese. The fuck? Oh, let's keep it in Texas. We got, in the last few hours, a former Houston police officer was found guilty of murder in the deaths of a couple during a street raid.
Defendant Gerald Goins guilty of felony murder as charged.
Former HPD narcotics officer Gerald Goins found guilty for the murder of two people in the 2019 botched Harding Street raid.
And we go over the moments after the jury's decision. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. I'm Daniela Guzman, a former Houston police narcotics officer charged with the murders of Regina Nicholas and Dennis Tuttle for that botched no-knock warrant raid on Harding Street in 2019. Gerald Goins was the mastermind behind that deadly January day. A jury of 12 convicting him in less than 24 hours. My colleague, to anchor Keith Garvin, is live outside the Harris County Criminal Justice Center to kick off our coverage with The Bench. Keith?
Daniela, Gerald Goins headed to prison for killing those two homeowners on Harding Street. He was taken away not in handcuffs, but still to be processed like any other prisoner in this state. Joining me here now.
Why not in handcuffs?
Mario Diaz-Mar, we've been covering this story, sharing it now for several years. We saw two families finally see Lady Justice tip in their favor.
And what you saw was an emotional pendulum swing from one end of the courtroom to the other, because going into today, many people thought that enough had been presented in Gerald Goins' favor to not have him be convicted of murder. But then you had the verdict come down as guilty, and you saw the Tuttle family just express so much elation. They were happy that finally, after more than 5 years and after their family's legacy had been muddied by HPD and others, that they got the justice that their loved ones deserved. Dennis and Regina were murdered. But then you look at the other end, and you had Gerald Goins, who was completely surprised by the decision. He was walking around with much confidence in the days leading up to this verdict. Today, we caught him in the hallways. He waved to our cameras. He was in good spirits until they started to walk into that courtroom, and that jury never once made eye contact with him or his team. And Keith, it was then that you realized that in the courtroom, the theater of the unexpected, you had the unexpected happening in front of everyone. Gerald Goins, HPD officer, guilty of murder.
Woo!
The key term. Okay, Mario, thank you. And we have now Letitia Quinones-Hollins and Rick DeToto. They are joining us live now. You two, it's been a very busy day as our legal analyst for sure. Okay, so we now know that the punishment phase is about to begin. Walk us through that. Rick, you want to go first?
So it's like a mini trial. They're going to have opening statements, they're going to present evidence, they're going to have closing statements, and the jury gets to deliberate. But the prosecution will be put on any bad acts that they have evidence of regarding Gerald Goins, and the defense will put on things like family members to say he's a good family member, and the jury will get to decide what his punishment.
Yeah, we got justice.
The thing is going to be to see if the prosecution has any evidence
applied to a cop. Yeah.
Surrounding warrants. Did he?
So rare.
Did he lie in any of the warrants, and how that affected the people involved? So I'm really curious to see the evidence that the state puts forward in punishment.
Letitia, this is a phase where more evidence can come out.
Absolutely. There will be more evidence that will come out, and the evidence that will come out will speak directly to Goins' character. Anything that he's done bad in the past, as well as anything that he's done good. I suspect that we're going to see family members testify about Goins. I suspect that we're going to see people in
Goins going to prison.
Helped as a police officer, someone he's protected in the past before. I suspect we'll see a lot of evidence such as that. And in the end, the jurors are going to weigh that and determine what is the appropriate sentence for him.
You know, their sentence was so quick and, again, so unexpected. So how do we expect that to play in their deliberations in terms of his sentencing?
Qualified immunity is for civil cases.
Interesting to see how long it's going to take them to reach a verdict.
It's like you can't get a judgment against the cop.
And the reason I would be worried, Mario, is primarily because of how long it took them to come back with the guilty verdict of murder. Right. It didn't take them long at all. What was it, over a week or so, 2 weeks trial? And it took about 6 hours to come back with the guilty verdict of felony murder. So those jurors are upset about what they heard. So it's going to be interesting.
Yeah, what can the defense do to potentially help lower the time he might get in prison?
So they have to personalize him. They have to bring in family and friends that can tell stories about him and say, you know, he's a dad or a good.
I don't give a shit. He's a cop.
Stories about his youth and coming up to try to let the jury know that this isn't the only side of him. All they've heard is bad evidence about Gerald Goins. The defense now has an opportunity to present good evidence to personalize him and let them know, hey, there's another side to Gerald Goins besides what you've heard in this court.
No, he's a cop.
Okay. All right.
He's a piece of shit.
Thank you as well. Before we send it back to the studio, the city of Houston is not commenting tonight on the trial. We do know that the Nicholas family released a statement in the last hour saying, in part, the Nicholas family is grateful for the jury verdict. The jury saw this case for what it was. This is a very important case. This is the reason why we took you inside of it with the bench. Mario, you wanted to add?
Very quickly, there is still a gag order. That's why you didn't hear from defense attorneys today. You didn't hear from the prosecutors. And we do know there's a case involving the city of Houston still. So for that reason, we might not be getting any comments from the city just yet.
Okay. All right. We know you're going to be there tomorrow morning.
And tonight at 10.
And tonight at 10 o'clock.
And tonight at 10.
You'll be there.
I thought their little setup with their whole like the bench segment and shit was kind of stupid. Just throw that out there. Oh, hold on. We've got an update on the. We've got the update on the dude who apparently set the bomb in the courthouse this morning in California. And check this shit out.
We are getting a look now at dramatic new video showing the moments of...
Hold on, is that the best quality we got here? What the hell? It is the best quality.
The suspect was taken into custody after an explosion at the Santa Maria courthouse. It happened this morning at about 9 a.m. The suspect was wearing body armor when he was caught running toward his car. Investigators believe an explosive device was intentionally set there at the courthouse. The entire complex was immediately evacuated. Authorities say at least 6 people were hurt. All were treated and then released from the hospital. Closer to home, the LA County Sheriff's Department is beefing up patrols at local courthouses in LA just as a precaution.
Yeah, fuck them. This awesome video, though, of them dragging him out. Let's go to Ohio, where, wasn't it about this time 2 years ago that a train overturned and then leaked a bunch of chemicals? Does that sound about right to you guys? Now they've got another toxic chemical leak. Apparently the leak has been contained, but they're still worried of an explosion.
Meanwhile, a toxic chemical leak from a train is forcing evacuations and raising some health concerns near Cincinnati. At a news conference just minutes ago, officials confirmed that that leak has been stopped, and they're monitoring the air to make sure that it's safe to breathe. Fire trucks have been dousing the train car to keep...
That's one more time. Like, let me check that 6 hours ago. Let me make sure that I'm not doing an old story here.
Keep it from exploding.
You can smell it. It is just nasty smelling.
Take a look at that flammable gas spewing into the air yesterday. We are told the chemical is styrene. The CDC says styrene can cause breathing problems and headaches, and long-term exposure to that chemical has been linked to cancer. And NBC News correspondent Maggie Vespa joins us now. So, Maggie, officials just gave an update there during that news conference. They were actually confronted by some residents who are really concerned about their health. What did you learn?
Yeah, guys, it was dramatic, and almost somewhat ironically, it kind of came in response to kind of the top headline of the news conference, which was officials saying, despite that video that you saw from yesterday and how intense that was, they now say they've gotten test results to indicate that the air quality in that area is safe. And again, that video right there is from...
Well, let's have Mike DeWine come down and breathe it in.
It sparked this two-pronged backlash of people saying, okay, well, number one, if it's safe, why can't we go home? And number two, some people worry that officials are wrong and actually the air is still unsafe. So here's some of that drama that played out just minutes ago.
What do you recommend to residents who had numb tongues and burning eyes, still dealing with headaches? Residents are feeling displaced, scared. They have nowhere to go. They left their everything. They stepped up and walked out of their house. My mom left without her wheelchair.
And we're ready to help you with that. So we'll talk with you guys inside in a more private manner.
Yeah, first you heard it was like a reporter asking, what do you say to residents? And then residents themselves chiming in. We saw officials walking over to talk to them personally, one-on-one, after the news conference wrapped. But kind of the main answer that they gave to those questions, guys, was actually there is still testing being done on the air quality, and it's also up to the health department, who didn't have a rep there, to lift any evacuation orders. So they said that's kind of on them. In the meantime, they said they are still worried about the possibility of an explosion, and that's why what you're watching right now is playing out. They're dousing that tanker car in water to keep it cool, because if it heats up, that's when, guys, that styrene could, they say, explode.
Maggie Vespa for us there reporting. Maggie, thank you.
Thanks for watching.
Shut up, Lester. Looked like it was beside a coal fire plant. So, quick update on the path of the hurricane. Getting ready to make landfall in Florida.
Hey, good evening. We want to give you an idea of what's going on right now as Florida rushes to get ready for Helene. And take a look behind me, preparing sandbags here in two ways. They are manually filling sandbags and getting those ready for people who will need them to block what is sure to be a lot of water.
I remember when the EPA official went to the woman's home and drank the water and just barely took a sip of it.
Together, sandbags.
I mocked the fuck out of that.
That pushes the sand into those bags and tying them off there. This is a giant storm. It is intensifying in the Gulf and going to cause serious problems. The governor of the state warning even outside of the path.
This is a really big storm. You're going to see impacts up to 250 miles outside the center of the storm.
It's huge.
You're going to see the more violent side of the storm. It's going to whip up, surge, produce high winds that are going to impact the Florida peninsula from Tampa Bay all the way across to the Atlantic coast of Florida.
Yes.
I was thinking it made landfall overnight tonight. Apparently it is predicted 8 p.m. tomorrow. So about the time we're coming on, we're going to be doing hurricane coverage, I guess. Damn.
So there are watches, there are warnings across the entire Florida peninsula right now. Again, Helene moving into the Gulf, expected to intensify rapidly. Could be a major hurricane by landfall Thursday evening. And a lot of people obviously paying close attention to that. There are a lot of areas that have already had evacuation orders placed into effect. And the time to prepare will quickly run out. This is a fast-moving storm. That's the latest from here in Tampa. I'm Jay Gray. Now back to you.
If you are in that area, buckle down tomorrow. And if you're anywhere on the East Coast, enjoy the weather this weekend. Jesus. We all gonna get flooded. Anybody in the crowd excited for the upcoming boxing fight between Mike Tyson and Jake Paul? I believe it happens November 15th or 17th or something like that. It's the new rescheduled date. Mike Tyson had a health issue and had to stop his training camp. I hope so, Mox. I fucking hope so. I hope this isn't some bullshit fucking fight. I don't think Mike Tyson's gonna pull his fucking punches. Jake wanted Mike Tyson. You got fucking Mike Tyson. And I still think Mike Tyson can cave your head in, son. I hope. But this is... all of his fights have been nonsense. They've been closer to wrestling than they have been actual boxing contests. So... but Jake Paul trying to troll Mike Tyson.
New PR, 500 pounds. I'm the strongest heavyweight in existence. No spot. Let's go, man. Let's go, kid. This is it.
Tyson in his day could have been like considered a murderer if he punched you in the face. Those hands were lethal. God damn.
Lightweight. Come on. Ooh. There you go. You got that. Down low, better play, better pick. Distance, no spot. Go.
He's wearing a fucking fat gut. It's not real. You can tell by the belly button right there. He's wearing some sort of what would you call it? Like some sort of epoxy or some shit. It's totally not real. Oh, did he not have nips? Yeah, there's no nips. The prosthetic. Thank you, Torchy. That was the word I was looking for. You can tell that it doesn't match. It's not skin right there. It doesn't match his tone. You can kind of see it separating. I fucking hate the Paul boys, and I have to hand it to Logan Paul because he's a good fucking wrestler. But god damn, I want to see Mike Tyson crush his skull. And that's the reason why. That's the reason why the fight's happening. All of us that hate these motherfuckers want to see Mike Tyson obliterate him. And that's why he's going to make money off of it. I can't. Logan Paul and Jake Paul are like two of the biggest YouTubers. And Jake Paul is taken to doing like these. There's celebrity boxing kind of. He's fighting fighters that are over the hill. He's fought a bunch of retired UFC fighters and mainly UFC fighters. He's fighting in boxing. Like he fought like Anderson Silva in a boxing match. So like it's not the fighters. Yeah, he's beating on old dudes, and he's actually in pretty good shape. But he's also, like, getting them out of their element by, like, having boxing matches with Anderson Silva. Anderson Silva was known for kicking people's heads off. Or kneeing their heads off. So, you've got trumped-up rules that favor him. But everyone believes, rightfully so, I think, that, you know, Mike Tyson could actually kill the guy. Not just knock him out. End his fucking life. So that's why everyone's excited for it, and I'm going to watch it. I'm not going to lie. I'm going to pirate it, but I'm going to watch it. Are you ready for this? This one is special. Maybe I should have saved it for Live Music Monday. What do you think I'm getting ready to hit you with, Thread? I hope all of you are going to be excited about this. This is really cool. And you're like, oh, please don't. What'd you think it was, Thread? Oh, talk about Tyson ending the dude. Why not? Why wouldn't you want to see Tyson end the dude? Mayweather versus Big Show was horrible. Fuck. And Big Show has had good, like, what was that dude's, Aki Bono or whatever? The sumo wrestler? Big Show had a good fucking sumo match with him. Like, Big Show is talented, so if Big Show can't make you look good, you suck, Floyd Mayweather. But here we go. I perhaps should have saved this for Live Music Monday. I'm going to take off the headphones. If you have not heard, someone you would have never expect just dropped a new single. Don, good evening. Here is your first listen to the newest hit from Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart. I am too, that's why I played it. He's been dead for over 230 years, but that's not stopping the man from releasing new music. A previously unknown Mozart composition that he crafted in his teenage years has been found in a library in Leipzig, Germany. Dates back to the 1760s. Written in his teenage years. There's like 7 different movements to it. I almost did the story last night, but I hadn't seen the video yet. I saw the video this morning and I'm like, oh shit. I just had the story that they were getting ready to play it. Az, good evening. Or maybe Mozart was just a nerd. Well, this was how you get pussy back then, so. That's not a bad looking man. I'd give it up for him. When you're saying life expectancy, you probably mean average life. And the life expectancy was brought down by the amount of infant mortality they had. When did Jack White say that? I think I've had Jack White's like newest album. I think it came out like 2 years ago. I think I've had it and not listened to it. I'm horrible. I was so excited when Bumblebus or whatever came out because I was a huge White Stripes fan. fourth one, isn't it? I think the first one was my favorite thus far. I think it was like the hardest rocking one. Mia Winch called it, didn't she? Oh, I'm sorry you got auto-modded. Kinda Lenny, yes, because like the violin made its way to Ireland. You can see the thread from Celtic music to bluegrass. My Irish ancestors that immigrated over to Appalachia. I think it was the fifth movement that got sultry, but I also might be off on my numbers. This feels like the after sex cigarette. Wait, you took up smoking? Who takes up smoking later on in life? M. Lord, I love you. Oh, weed. Okay, weed. That's different. Okay, here we go. This is my shit. Pull the fake out on us. So, Serenata XC just discovered. Apparently apparently this was played on the 21st of September, so about 3 days ago, 4 days ago? 4 days ago. Fantastic performance. I didn't grab an animal video yet. Hold on, let me go get one. How did I leave off an animal video? That should be like the first thing I put on the list, shouldn't it? Buddy, please stop. Bogey is clawing the shit out of me. Stop it, buddy. That's why I don't want you up here, but you keep insisting on getting up here.
Arrive to our destination. Please stay in your seats until instructed to do so, and remain with your trail buddy while on the hike. Please be mindful of the directions of your tour guide at all times to ensure the safety of all. And remember, we have a baby on board, so please watch your paws.
This is the first time we've had a baby.
Walking the 3 Aussies, Max, Odin, and Loki, Otis, Fish, and Dasher, Bama, Lentil, and Murray, Carl, Louie, and Echo, Norman on his own little leash, Jake, Amaru, and Mina. Let's go to the trail, guys.
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't see your suggestion thread. We're taking them off the bus this time. We usually watch them get treats on the bus.
Most of the poop at the trailhead. Come on, Echo. Dogs ready? Let's go. Time to go to the lookout.
Oh, look at them. They're having so much fun.
Oh, we got another pooper. Whoa.
First destination is the Mud Spring Bridge. Checking with the tour guide.
Everybody check on their trail, buddy. All right, let's go.
Such good babies.
Practicing a trail command is pull off the trail and do a little group up. When I do that, I point to it and I say, here. Good dogs. Very good. Break.
They are.
Woo, let's go.
And this stop is Camel Rock because it goes home. One more little climb and we're at our final destination,
Good
the
dogs.
lookout.
Let's go.
The baby getting fuzzy?
To arrive to our destination, the lookout. Enjoy your complimentary snacks and the beautiful view of Skagway, Alaska below.
Damn, that is gorgeous.
Break.
It's time for our descent. Looks like this one's a little pooped from the hike.
Welcome back to the bus, everybody. How was your hike to the park?
Oh, sweet babies. I want to love them all.
Please stay in your seats till we get to your house. Paws to yourself. Tails out of the aisle. Murray, you're sitting in the emergency exit. Are you willing and capable of offloading the
Oh, Murray's always got it.
emergency? Good boy.
I know Murray's got it.
Remain with your trail buddy while on the hike. Please be mindful of the directions of your tour guide at all times to ensure the safety of all. And remember, we have a baby on board, so please watch your paws.
Leaves carrying Vern. Walking the 3 Aussies, Max, Odin, and Loki, Otis, Fish, and Dasher, Bama, Lentil, and Murray, Carl, Louie, and Echo, Norman on his own little leash, Jake, Amaru, and Mina. Let's go to the trail, guys. All right, we've collected most of the poop at the trailhead. Come on, Echo. Dogs ready? Let's go. Time to go to the lookout. Come on, guys. Oh, we got another pooper. Whoa, whoa.
if you're watching on Twitch, I'm going to show some love to somebody I've had a beef with in the past.
Everybody check on their trip.
You're probably going to go back to Echoplex anyway, but I'm going to try to get Carter to give me a shout out because he's got a lot of people that follow him. You're going to head over to Carter. Go ahead, light one up, tip one back.
Pull off the trip.
It's all right to have a little fun before we hit the sack. I'm Justin Freakin. We'll see you tomorrow night on the Troll Patrol Live. Also, we've got a debate on Friday night, so be here for that.
And this stop is Camel Rock.